Hi, my name's Eric, and I'll be reading you selections from the e-edition of today's Cape Cod Times. Today's date is Monday, September 15th of 2025, and New England is celebrating a win by the Patriots over the Miami Dolphins. But let's get to the weather. We start with that, as we always do, and across the Cape and Islands today, it's mostly sunny and pleasant with a high of 72 expected. Tonight, mostly cloudy with areas of fog later, a low of 56. Tomorrow, Tuesday, sunshine and pleasant. We're going to have that mainly Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, pretty much the same temps. 71 degrees Tuesday, 73 Wednesday, 72 Thursday, and in the high 50s overnight. So lots and lots of sunshine ahead for the next 4 days. And on Friday, partly sunny and warmer. Warms up to 80 degrees during the day and 60 in the overnight. The sun will rise at 6:22 a.m. It'll set at 6:50 p.m. We'll have 12 hours, 28 minutes of daylight. The moon will set at 3:42 p.m. Heading to the front of the paper, we actually go to the lottery results because somebody asked for them. It's a change in the Cape Cod Times that they don't publish the lottery results anymore, so we go to the masslottery.com website to give our listeners what they asked for. For the numbers game of Sunday, September 14th of 2025, in the midday drawing yesterday in the numbers game, the results were 8, 3, 4, 9. Again, yesterday's midday drawing results, 8, 3, 4, 9. In the evening drawing yesterday, the numbers were 0, 5, 7, 2. Again, last night's evening drawing of the numbers game, 0, 5, 7, 2. Good luck to all who play, and remember us if you win. On the cover of today's Cape Cod Times, what should new state flag be? Commission picks 3 finalists by Margie Cullen of the USA Today network of New England. A Massachusetts State Commission has chosen 3 finalists each for the state's next official seal, flag, and motto. The Massachusetts Seal, Flag, and Motto Advisory Commission was established in 2024 to propose a new state seal, flag, and motto of the Commonwealth after the current symbol's use of colonial imagery, such as the sword above the Native American, raised controversy. The commission ultimately chose the 9 finalists out of over 1,000 submissions, which included flags depicting a shark wearing a pilgrim hat and a dinosaur holding a Dunkin' coffee cup. The chosen submissions are still open for public comment. The commission will hold public hearings across the state to gather input before selecting final designs and submitting its recommendations to the governor. Here are the finalists in each category, with a full explanation of each design found on mass.gov. The flags. This flag features the state flower, the Mayflower, to symbolize Massachusetts' founding history. The flower also holds significance in Native American traditions, wrote the submitter. The 6 points of the flower represent Massachusetts' status as the 6th state admitted into the Union. The gold represents the golden dome of the Massachusetts State House. The dark blue represents the state's coastal waters. This design, named the Blue Hill Banner, references the Massachusetts tribe for which the state was named. The tribe's name translates to "at the Great Hill," according to the submitter, known today as Great Blue Hill. The 6 blue and white waves represent the state's coastal regions and its status as the 6th state to join the Union. The 8-pointed compass-like star represents Massachusetts' status as a maritime hub, and its location at the top of the hill alludes to John Winthrop's famous City Upon a Hill sermon. The turkey feathers in this seal represent health and well-being, and 6 of them symbolize Massachusetts being the 6th state to join the Union, wrote the submitter. The circle shape represents harmony and continuity, and the feathers face clockwise to symbolize progress. The color crimson is significant because it's associated with education in Massachusetts, being the official color for UMass Amherst, Harvard, and MIT. Seals. This design includes the official state bird, the chickadee, the official marine mammal, the right whale, and a white star, the submitter said, symbolizes peace. The star from the current flag has been transformed to a sun shining on a stylized Massachusetts landscape with water, hill, and mountain shapes, wrote the submitter. The seal is similar to the flag design, but includes a black-capped chickadee, the official state bird of Massachusetts, and 351 dashes formed into a circle for the 351 municipalities in Massachusetts. The diamond shape, often found in indigenous art, symbolizes the balance between humans and nature, wrote the submitter. Mottos: Multa voces una res republica. Many voices, one commonwealth. Many voices, one commonwealth encapsulates a vision of diverse participation and collective identity, the submitter wrote. It's a unifying message that reflects modern Massachusetts while honoring its rich, multifaceted past. We honor all life guided by the first light. I wanted to incorporate a tribute to the first Massachusetts people, the submitter wrote. The Wampanoag and other tribes are known as people of the first light. Our task as current Massachusetts residents is to honor the truth of the past and strive to move forward in harmony. Bono publico let amor. We rejoice in the public good. It expresses a hopefulness and joy about building things for communal benefit, which I think captures the best of Massachusetts, the submitter wrote, explaining that the motto, written by Massachusetts native Benjamin Osgood Pierce, became a bronze seal on the floor of the Beverly Public Library. Ever since I read that on a Beverly Public Library Instagram post, I've thought it was such a perfect motto for any public entity. There is very little local news. We find that's usually the case on Mondays after the weekend. I think most of it gets put into the Sunday edition, and maybe not that much is happening on Sunday to put it in the Monday edition. But we will continue to dig it out. Barnstable man charged with enticing child under 18. Wish I had a better title to give you than that one as our first local news, but this is reported by Denise Coffey. A former NHL player and one-time Boston Bruin was arraigned in Barnstable District Court Friday, September 12th, after police say he tried to rendezvous with whom he thought was a 16-year-old girl, but actually a Barnstable police detective. Eric Nicholas, 50, of West Barnstable, was charged with enticement of a child under 18 by using electronic communication, according to police. Authorities say he responded on Thursday to a series of text messages with Detective Eric McNeese, who was posing undercover as a minor female interested in sex. The detective had created a profile for an online advertisement that appeared to offer sexual encounters with an adult female, according to a police report. The detective used an undercover law enforcement account and created the ad designed to target those seeking sex with minors. The website was redacted from the police report. McNeese has had digitally altered a photo of himself using FaceApp, a photo editing application that uses artificial intelligence to make him look like a young female. According to the police report, he received a text message from a telephone later identified as belonging to Nicholas at 12:25 p.m. The person asked about availability for an in-call or meetup. At that point, McNeese texted Nicholas that he was texting with someone who was under 18. I said if that was a problem to let me know, McNeese wrote in his report. Nicholas asked for a photo and an age. McNeese sent his digitally altered photo and gave an age of 16, according to the police report. After several back-and-forth texts, Nicholas agreed to a meeting time and place and $150 for some fun FS. According to McNeese, FS means full service, typically sexual intercourse with oral sex with regards to commercial sex activity. Detectives were on hand when Nicholas pulled into the Hyannis apartment complex where the meetup was supposed to be held. He was taken into custody without incident, police said. Nicholas is next scheduled to appear in district court September 17th for a pretrial hearing. Born in Hyannis, Nicholas played hockey for Barnstable during his sophomore year in high school. He played hockey at a variety of schools and in private schools before attending the University of New Hampshire, where he played the sport for 4 years. Signed on with the Boston Bruins in 1998, playing until 2001, and then from 2005 to 2006. He played for the St. Louis Blues and Chicago Blackhawks from 2002 to 2004. Maintenance work on the Sagamore Bridge, reported by Zane Razak. Crews will perform inspection and maintenance work on the Sagamore Bridge Tuesday, September 16th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., requiring that one lane be closed, according to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in the New England District. Southbound traffic heading on Cape will be restricted to one lane of travel during this time to accommodate the work. Both northbound travel lanes heading off Cape will stay open during this period. No wide loads will be allowed to cross the bridge while lane restrictions are in place. From the Cape and Islands section, it's Seaside Beach Plum Harvest Season by Steve Heslip. The final chapter of summer 2025 is written as the days grow shorter. Labor Day's early arrival jump-started the feeling of autumn, but there's one harvest ritual that happens at our household no matter when the September holiday arrives: beach plum picking. Cape Cod's beach plum bushes, Prunus maritima, presented a big show of blooms in May, giving high hopes for a good late summer harvest. Last year's crop was almost non-existent. Ask a beach plum harvester where they find their fruit or how good the crop is, and straight answers are never given. Keep in mind, part of the fun of beach pluming is the hunt. Shrubs that were overloaded a year ago can yield nothing the following season. This was one reason attempts to commercialize the crop never worked out. But hope springs eternal as we head out with buckets and a measuring cup. A measuring device is key to staying on task in lean berry years. The old handwritten recipe card stained with juice specifically calls for 10 cups to make one batch of jelly. If picking is slow, we soldier on, even tempting fate by reaching over the ever-present poison ivy vines into a good clump of hidden plums that the birds missed. Anything to get 10 cups. There are two kinds of pickers: those who pick quickly with berries, stems, and even leaves finding their way into the bucket. The second version are clean pickers. Each berry lands in the pail, ready to be processed back in the kitchen. The scarcer the berries, the longer the walk, but with a backdrop of ocean and sand dunes, even our kids don't complain too much about the long walk home after a day of harvesting. Arriving home, the unskilled labor force is dismissed for a high-tide swim to wash off purple-stained hands and any poison ivy residue. While in the kitchen, fresh plums get a washing, final measurement, and into a steaming pot with 2 cups of water for 30 minutes with an occasional mashing during their simmer. The hot berry mixture is cautiously dumped into a cheesecloth-lined strainer for a long, slow drip, filling the house with the familiar fragrance of Labor Day jelly making. The days will continue to grow shorter and colder, but those lucky enough to jar up a batch or two of beach plum jelly in September can relive memories from the waning days of summer, even on the coldest of winter days. The other story in the Cape and Islands section: man sentenced in death of 71-year-old mother by Zane Razak in Barnstable. A sandwich man pleaded guilty Monday, September 15th, to pushing his 71-year-old mother and causing her death in 2024. Thomas Christian Hayes pleaded guilty to charges of manslaughter and assault and battery on a person 60 or older causing serious bodily harm at Barnstable Superior Court. I cannot express how sorry I am for what happened. I understand the negative impact I've made in your lives. Never will I ask for your forgiveness because I don't deserve it, said Hayes in a statement to family. I apologize to my community for taking a valued and loving member from you. And lastly, to my mother, I love you, I miss you, and I'm sorry. Judge Mark Gildea agreed with the sentence proposed by both the prosecutor and defense attorneys Drew Cigadelli and Francesca Ferguson, and sentenced Hayes to 7.5 to 9 years in the Sousa Baranowski Correctional Center in Lancaster. Hayes, who was 23 when he was indicted in March of this year, was also sentenced to 5 years of probation following his incarceration. He received credit for 183 days served. On July 24th of 2024, Hayes pushed his mother, Colleen Hayes, during an argument in her bedroom in their shared residence in Sandwich, according to Cape and Islands Assistant DA Courtney L. Scalice. Cigadelli told the Times that Colleen Hayes was intoxicated at the time of the incident. Colleen Hayes then fell backwards and hit her head against the bedpost, according to the prosecutor. The victim was unconscious, on the floor, not breathing, and bleeding from the head, said Scalice in court. The defendant called 911, and admitted to the operator that he had pushed his mother. Colleen Hayes was taken to Cape Cod Hospital with a laceration to her head, a fractured neck, and a contusion to her eye. She died July 30th, 2024, said Scalici. Prosecutors have no evidence that Thomas Hayes had intended to cause his mother's death, said Scalici. Segadelli said he and the prosecutor had worked together for quite some time, doing our very best to come up to a fair resolution on a very difficult case. He also praised the Sandwich Police Department for its investigation. For all intents and purposes, it was an accident, said Segadelli. It's heart-wrenching, extremely emotional for the family. It's a very difficult case. He, meaning Thomas Hayes, is going to be living with the loss of his mother for the rest of his life. And while there's not much local hard news, there is lots of sports news that's local. Martha's Vineyard coach breaks silence after insensitive remark by Alan Gunn. This is from the high school boys soccer section. Embrace your culture, your heritage, and your language. That's what first-year Martha's Vineyard high school boys soccer head coach Rodrigo Honorado told his players after they were the subject of alleged verbal abuse from the opposing head coach during a high school match on September 9th at Rising Tide. Nearly 90% of Honorado's roster is of non-American descent, which includes Brazilians and Hondurans. Born to Brazilian parents, Honorado is a first-generation American himself, but is still deeply passionate about his own ancestry. Be proud of your nationality and your culture, he said. Embrace that on the field and off the field, and don't be ashamed. When they go low, that's when we have to be high. We stand tall because together as a unit, nothing will bring us down. The incident occurred in the first half with the Vineyarders ahead of Rising Tide 3-1 when they say the opposing coach, Tony Reis, in Portuguese, directed comments at the Martha's Vineyard players, telling them, "Speak English, will you?" Reis told the Cape Cod Times he was fired the next day. The Vineyarders players and coaching staff don't shy away from using their native tongues to communicate on the field or provide tactical direction, as witnessed during Friday's match at Dennis Yarmouth. Most things, however, are repeated twice by Honorado, both in Portuguese and English, with intensity and reverberance. For the few on the team whose first language is English, there really is no communication barrier because they know the phrases without hesitation. Honorado, an administrative support staff member at the high school from which he graduated, is a native of Martha's Vineyard. He's coached soccer for over a decade on the island and coached a lot of his current players since they were young. There's a pride in the diversity of not just their team and their teammates, but also their community as a whole, said Honorado. Instead of responding negatively to the incident, Honorado was proud of how his team responded as the Vineyarders showed a maturity beyond their years. It fueled their play, what is known in Brazil as jogo bonito, play beautifully. That encapsulates playing with passion and artistry, not just focusing on winning. It's an expression and a shared language with the ball at their feet. I was like, guys, let this feed you. Let this just be a moment and show them what we came here to do, Honorado said. We went there for a reason, and that was to win a soccer game, and we put everything on the field. We were respectful, even though we didn't want to be. I'm so happy with how they dealt with it. More than a coach. Honorado is currently taking classes online to obtain his master's degree. With his work schedule and soccer duties, he said he doesn't have a lot of time to cram in study time. But he does, and he makes sure his players focus on their schoolwork before they take to the pitch. I think it's important for me to lead by example, he said. It's important for me to be in there with them and motivating them to get their work done because I want them to play college, if that's something they want to do, and get good grades. The Vineyarders host a homework club after school before their practices, which run from 5 to 7 p.m. And together, they're all there, just like when they line up for a match. Together, the players all admitted to Honorado that they were affected by what transpired during the match, no matter where they were from. During Wednesday's homework club, Honorado had to speak about something he hoped he wouldn't have to, even though he had been prepared for it. He called it racism in an interview with the Cape Cod Times. Honorado said he asked everyone, including the junior varsity players, to raise their hand if they had been affected by Tuesday's game. The coach said that everyone raised their hands because if it affected their friends, it affected them. When you think most of the time nowadays people think kids are very reactive, in an instance where maybe being reactive would have been justified. Martha's Vineyard's interim athletic director Mike Joyce began, Rodrigo sets that tone really well, and that's reflected in how they responded. They could have done a lot of things, but instead kept their cool and showed a level of maturity that most people wouldn't attribute to high school kids. The Rising Tide coach dismissed. Rising Tide athletic director Thomas Holdgate, who was present at the game and informed Joyce well before full time, and Rising Tide head of school Michael O'Keefe, took immediate action. Joyce told the Cape Cod Times that Holdgate texted him at halftime to alert him. Rising Tide dismissed Reyes from his coaching position Wednesday, saying loudly, "Speak English, will you?" to the Martha's Vineyard head coach was a mistake, as I've never said anything like that to anyone in the past and never will again, Reyes said to the Cape Cod Times. I never swore, I never said anything to any of the Martha's Vineyard players and their other coaches. The second and last remark I made to the head coach, but not loudly as I was next to him, was, "How do you expect these kids to learn English?" Reyes had formerly coached at Cape Cod Academy during the 2024 season before moving to the Plymouth-based school this fall. According to Joyce, there was no card issued to Reyes by the game's referees, which means there's no documented report that it happened that was submitted to the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association, the MIAA, for further discipline other than what was done by Holdgate. That meant no immediate repercussions could happen outside of his dismissal. It's important for our coaches to understand they need to make the officials aware of it right away, because that's when you get the MIAA involved, Joyce said. A lot of times, if there's no remark in the game, if there's no card, if there's no ejection, the MIAA can't do much. It's a little trickier. Joyce and Honorado said they were both told by Holdgate that he had heard the remark himself. Joyce said that Rising Tide further issued a direct apology to Honorado and the Martha's Vineyard's boys soccer team. He then further commended his coaching staff and players for their part in not escalating the incident in a meeting with the team. I talked to the team as a whole, just saying how proud we were of them representing us, Martha's Vineyard, in a situation like that, Joyce said. There was nothing you could say that you would rather that they had done. The other story that's local, CCA teams transition from varsity schedule to junior varsity by Alan Gunn in high school soccer. Falmouth. When it comes to low numbers in high school sports, that's hard to overcome playing against a varsity schedule. It becomes even harder when the varsity level players afforded to a squad are few and far between, not speaking to talent level, but age. The Cape Cod Academy boys team fielded a squad of 11 players against Falmouth Academy on Saturday. 8 of those were in middle school, which included just 2 8th graders. In the interest of safety for the Cape Cod Academy boys and girls soccer teams, that meant making the decision to forfeit its varsity schedule before the September 12th deadline in favor of a junior varsity and middle school hybrid one. I didn't want to deny our kids a chance to play, Cape Cod Academy interim athletic director Christian Sears said. We have the numbers that want to play at the level that they're most comfortable, and right now it's best we do a junior varsity schedule. Because we have to rely on some of those middle schoolers, we just need to be safe. Ayana Bet Garcia and David McPherson, the boys and girls soccer coaches respectively, have seen a lot of pride in their players despite the upcoming change to their season, and that enthusiasm has been reciprocated. Scoreline is irrelevant. The two have continued coaching like nothing is going to change. We can only control what we're doing, so we're really looking to build on a lot of the young kids' skills, and they're willing to work, McPherson said. There hasn't been any program building in the past, and we're starting from scratch. And that's what we're doing. I think the future's good. The biggest thing for Cape Cod Academy and its soccer programs is to play a schedule where teams can be a match for the caliber of opposition, while not sapping the fun out of the game. Sears has full faith in his coaches to make the right decisions for their players, extending to not overplaying or being reliant on their middle schoolers when the substitutes bench is already thin. I have full faith in our coaches to be able to then make these good decisions, he said. All of our kids know that. While the varsity schedule might now say forfeit, having a JV schedule gives them hope and something to obviously play and look forward to. Every Cape and Islands League team has been just as supportive in the transition and to meet the Seahawks on the field where they are currently at. The Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association, the MIAA, has also understood Cape Cod Academy's current position, which had to drop the fall girls volleyball program due to low numbers and no coaching staff. Saturday's games at Falmouth Academy are the last varsity fixtures for the Seahawks for now. Both ended with defeats because it's hard to expect a 6th or 7th grader to compete with a senior. The MIAA understands exactly what we need to do in order to make a season possible, Sears said. The fact that our girls and boys are still out here and get to have fun, and the fact that other schools want to still play with us, is great. We get to be safe and modify where we need to. I'm really proud that we're able to see a season out. A team looks to its leader when things get tough. For the Seahawks girls soccer team, they look to their captain, Ariel Belson. Belson is in her final year with a program she's been part of since she was in 8th grade. Her reaction to drastic changes would ultimately set the tone for how the team responded. Initially, it was frustration, but it quickly flipped to what she could do to make it a positive change. She's shown not only resilience of change, but also leadership and support to her team. Garcia said she's supporting the team, but also committed to it, and that's a huge thing from a player that is only a senior. And with that, we've come to the end of our reading of the Cape Cod Times. We read everything that is local in the paper. This is your reader, Eric, saying be well, be safe, look after each other, and remember our veterans, especially those that we've lost recently. Bye for now.